Hello, I am Dr. Amjad Mahmood from AIOU-COL Open University, Pakistan. We have been discussing about the loops. In our previous video lecture, we discussed about the for loop, which is a preferred choice if you know that how many times you want to repeat certain action or statements. The second loop that we are going to discuss is called a while loop. This loop is best suited when you want to repeatedly execute a statement or a block of statements while a condition remains true. A while loop is written as you can see in this slide. So a while loop starts with the reserved word while. Then inside the bracket we write the condition. And do not forget, our condition should evaluate to true or a false. Then you can write a statement or a block of statements. Now how a while loop executes, you can see from this flow diagram. The first thing, we check the condition which is written after the while inside the bracket. If the condition is true, then the body of the loop executes. That means the statement or the block of statements that you have written, they will execute, and then the condition is checked again. If the condition is still true, then the body of the loop will execute once again. So after executing the body of the loop, the condition is checked and the loop keeps executing as long as the condition is true. When the condition becomes false, the control goes to the statement which is written after the while construct. Here is an example. We have declared a variable I with the initial value equal to 1, and then we have a loop, a while, and you can see inside the bracket the condition is written, and in our case the condition is I less than equal to 3. So if this condition is true, then there are two statements that we want to execute. Therefore, we have to make a block of them by putting the brackets. The first statement that we have is document.write star and then I++. So these two statements will repeatedly execute as long as the condition remains true. When the condition becomes false, the body of the loop will not execute and the execution starts after the while loop. In our case, the statement that will execute is the document.write end. When you are using a while loop, it's very important to make sure that sometime the condition becomes false. That was the reason that we were incrementing the value of I, which was controlling the loop condition. If you do not do something inside the body of the loop, that will leave the loop condition true all the time and the loop will never end. That means you get an infinite loop and your program is not going to end. So make sure the condition becomes false at some point in time so that the execution can resume after the loop. Another loop that we have is called a do while loop. So let's look at the do while loop syntax. A do while loop starts with the keyword do, then you put a bracket, and then the body of the loop where you can have one or more than one statements. After the statements, we put the bracket to close the body of the loop, and then we write while, a keyword, and the condition. Now how this loop really executes is shown in this flow diagram. So generally what happens, before writing the loop, you initialize some variables and then the body of the loop is executed. No condition is checked. After executing the body of the loop, the condition which is written after the while inside the bracket will be checked. If the condition is true, then the body of the loop will execute again. Condition is checked again, and then the body of the loop executes again if the condition is still true. When the condition becomes false, the loop will not execute anymore and the execution resumes or starts after the do while loop. One very important difference between a while loop and a do while loop is that a do while loop executes first and then the condition is checked. That means a do while loop will execute at least once. So generally do while loops are used when you want to display the menus where the user is asked to enter some options. So do while loop is a good choice there. Whereas in a while loop, the condition is checked on the top of the loop, and if the condition is true, then the body of the loop will execute. So it's quite possible that a while loop does not execute even once if the condition is false right at the start. So in this video lecture, we discussed how to write a while loop and a do while loop. Let's do some exercise in using these two loops in one of our programs and see how these loops will work. So we opened our previous program where we used the for loop. Actually, we really want to do the same job, but this time instead of using for loop, we are going to use a while loop. So before we start the loop, we declared a variable I, giving it some initial value. In our case, it is equal to 1. Then we start with the loop while, and then we write the condition inside the bracket. We simply says if the value of I is less than equal to 10, then do the things which are inside the body of the loop. In our case, there is only one statement there. That means we just want to print the value of I. As I explained, that you must make sure the value of the loop or the condition must become false sometime. Therefore, we are increasing the value of I by 1 inside the body of the loop. So what will happen, the value of I will become 2, 3, 4 and so on, and when the value of I becomes more than 10, the loop will terminate. We save it in a file and you can see the output in the browser. Again, you can see the output is exactly the same as we got with a for loop. That means this loop executed 10 times. The value of I was printed from 1 to 10. Now let's do the same job, but this time instead of using a while loop, we are going to use a do while loop. So in our document, we can put any text that we want to. Then we start with the script. We declare the variable I with initial value 20, and then we write the do while loop. You can see a do while loop starts with the keyword or the reserved word do. Then the body of the loop is written inside the curly brackets. So inside the body of the loop, we are printing the value of I, and then the value of I is increased by 1. The loop ends with the while condition, that we write the keyword while and then the condition which says while I is less than equal to 25. That means this loop will execute as long as the value of I is less than equal to 25. So let's see what we get this time in our output. we save our file, and then we will open that file in the browser. And you can see the output again here. The output starts with value of I is equal to 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25, and when the value of I becomes more than 25, loop does not execute anymore because of the way we put the condition there. So in this video lecture, we discussed how to write a while loop and a do while loop. We have seen their syntax and how these loops really execute the flow of these loops, and then we use these loops in our HTML code as well. Hope that you understood all of these basic constructs of JavaScript. It's bye from me. Thank you very much.